Hey, what's up, investors? Welcome to the Semiconductor Show, where we focus on the semiconductor industry, mainly the chips here. We're going to be talking about Nvidia today. Something interesting happened with them this week. The stock actually took a pop this week, and I just wanted to dig into see what actually happened, what caused it. And so we're going to talk about that, what the news is with Nvidia. Then we're going to touch on the technical analysis. And then we're going to wrap up with a little interesting fact that I found out about them that you might want to stick around for. So let's get me out of the way so you can see the stock. And so they started off the week at about 267, and right around this time I thought they were going to pull back, and they definitely did. They went below 260 at one point, and then all of a sudden it popped back up, clearing 280 at one point and wrapping up at 276. And so this pop had me wondering, because a pop of $30 for this company, I mean, that's a 12% return in one day. So I had to do some digging, see what happened. And so this is what we found. They had a technology conference, and they basically shared a couple of their new developments. So Nvidia is boosting its initiatives to empower artificial intelligence, which is another sector that we want to transition to in the future. But for right now, we're focusing on the chips, which should lead nicely into that as a transition. And so with the AI technology, they're going to be building autonomous vehicles. At its GTC, which was their virtual GPU technology conference, the company revealed that it has started the production of its highly advanced software-defined platform called NVIDIA Drive Orion, which is for those autonomous vehicles. And as we continue on, so the company revealed that BYD and Lucid adopted the NVIDIA Drive platform for their next generation fleets. So they're incorporating new automakers, and to kind of go along with that, so NVIDIA's focus on incorporating AI into the cockpit for infotainment systems is enabling it to grow its autonomous driving revenues. The company expects its automotive total addressable market, its TAM, to be $30 billion by 2025, so just a couple years down the road. And they're estimating that that's going to comprise $25 billion for the driving, $3 billion for the training and development, and then a $2 billion for the validation and testing. The company currently stated that 20 out of the top 30 passenger electrical vehicle makers adopted the NVIDIA Drive Orion platform, which is great. And to wrap it up, NVIDIA also revealed that its total automotive design win increased to $11 billion from $8 billion last year. And so that $3 billion, that boost for them, where they're making about $26 billion in a year, that $3 billion, for a company this size, that's adding 12% revenue to them, which is huge. I mean, that's just one market that they're addressing, and the fact that they're growing 12%, that's phenomenal for them. We love to see double digits. And so that kind of wraps this article. So that was one piece of news. And then the other half, so NVIDIA's powerful new chip designs and systems are aimed at artificial intelligence. So this is going to be a nice transition. Probably keep this one for the long term. NVIDIA unveiled 3 of these systems. So that was one of them, the Drive, and we're going to touch on the other 2 here. All of these are pushing the limits of computing power and design to work together to help unlock the potential of the AI economy. And so here's a little image of one of their new systems. I believe this is the GPU. So that's the second one. So 2 years ago, NVIDIA unveiled its Ampere architecture for data center and AI graphics processing units, the technology behind NVIDIA's A100 supercomputing system. This was accelerating data centers all over the world, empowering all sorts of services from video game streaming to solving critical healthcare problems. And so now this year, their CEO, Jensen Huang, announced Hopper, the successor to their AI GPU. The Hopper GPU is going to be based on TSM's 4 nanometer process. And so we'll touch on TSM probably in another upload at some point. But right there, so it's going to use TSM, which is great for that company if you own them. But it mentions it's going to be using their 4 nanometer process. Right now, TSM's working on, I want to say, the 5 nanometer. I'm sure in tandem they're working on 5 and 4. So this product's not going to be available until the earliest, probably at the end of this year, probably more likely early next year. So that just gives us an idea of what's to come in the future here. But this will power the new H100 supercomputing unit for the AI and high-performance computing in data centers. So this is the next generation. As we move on, this new Nvidia technology is always going to be compatible with older generations hardware. So you love to hear that. And so this H100 GPU they have, their CEO here says it has 20 of those chips, those GPUs, have enough computational power to handle the equivalent of the entire world's internet traffic. That's how powerful these things are. I mean, if one company had, that should be plenty. That should be plenty for just one company. And if every company has one, this is a big breakthrough for them. And so their other piece, this is another huge shift of why you would want to buy into them. They're constantly developing, and this is the third piece. They want to go into CPUs here. So they have this thing that they're calling Grace. So at the spring of 2021, their CEO announced an upcoming CPU for data centers, which was named Grace. And they estimated that it would be available in early 2023. And this year was unveiled. So I still believe the plan is still 2023 is when it's officially going to be available. But the fact that they're already presenting it now in 2022, that just shows that they're actually ahead of the ball here. And so NVIDIA is really pushing the envelope. And to wrap up this article, so once again, the larger data center market is still dominated by Intel and AMD. And so with NVIDIA going into that space, that just opens up a very big growth opportunity for this company, which is already doing phenomenal things in what their current sectors are. And then just to wrap it up, so it's deepening relationships with customers by building software capabilities on top of its hardware. So it's vertically integrating their systems, which is just not many other companies do this apparently. So they're spanning basic chip design all the way to software services and services delivered to engineers, developers, and other consumers. And so I'm not sure if they're the only company to do this, but they're one of the few that does this, that from the top to the bottom, they're doing it all. And so that was the big news. If we go back here to the chart, this conference I believe is on Tuesday, so I guess maybe it took a couple days to hit the masses here. But yeah, it's shot off, and we'll kind of see how this plays out. Even though they made all these announcements, sales for those units probably aren't going to start coming in. I guess pre-orders could start coming in now, but that revenue is not going to be recognized until later this year, maybe 2023 even. But it just shows the potential of the future. So let's just look at their technical analysis here. And so last we touched on them, they were right around here, right around this 270 mark, and they still are there. They're at 276. And so they're right at an inflection point here. I thought they would kind of continue following this trend here, and it seems like they kind of broke it. I'll give it another week or two just to kind of confirm that they're out of this downtrend, because as of right now, it seems like they broke the trend. They're on the way up. And the fact that they actually broke it's not like a firm resistance line here at 270, but the fact that they broke above it, this could easily mean that they're going to go all the way up to that 305 mark again. They could test that. Honestly, they could pull all the way up to their highs at 335. That's definitely on the table at this point, because as we know, whenever they want to go off, they can go off. Last time they had a run, it started at 200, finished at 350. There's no reason why they couldn't do that again. It's just, in terms of revenue, it's just it's not going to materialize yet, but it's in the works. And so that's what people are hearing and seeing. And so this company could shoot off again. And so the question is right now a good time to buy? And to me, I still wanted to pull back a little bit, but for me, originally, I think the last time I talked about them, I was hoping for anything around 230 or less. And then I found something that I just thought really opened the door for this company, and it's going to change my opinion on where I would like to buy. And so let me just go into that right now. So right here you can see they have this this PE ratio here, which is kind of one of my decision makers for buying a company. And so right here we have this PE ratio of almost 72 at this point. And for me, that's just a little bit high. And so that's kind of where I came up with the 230 number. And so I'm just going to bring up a calculator here. Here we go. So if we just pull out the calculator, so 230, and that's like the stock price, and then divided by the 3.85, that's about 60. You know, I was looking for a 60 PE ratio for this company. Anything less than that, I think is just a great deal for this company and the amount of growth that it has. And then I started looking into it, and you know, I think this hasn't been updated. I think this is actually lagging right now, and it's just throwing off the masses, especially when they see that number. And I'm basing that off of down here, this earnings per share. And so let's just bring back up the calculator here. So if we add up the past 12 months of earnings, and I'm basing that off here, this EPS, or I'm sorry, this PE ratio of TTM, which is trailing 12 months. So if we go back to, what happened here? So if we go back down to our earnings per share, and if we just do a little bit of quick math here, we have a 91, so 0.91 plus, what do we got? 104, 1.04 plus 1.17 plus 132 at their last release, which brings us to 444 as earnings per share. So this is behind. And so with that in mind, if we take that $4.44 earnings per share and we times that by 60, this is more the number that I'm looking for, 266. And we're not that far off it. So whenever we go back to our chart here, you know, I'll draw a faint line. This isn't really a resistance line, but to me, this is like my new opportunity. If it's below this line, I feel like that is a decent time to go into it. I don't know if I can make this maybe like just a dotted line, just to kind of show that it's different. So at this point, that's kind of my buying opportunity, I feel, just based on that PE ratio of 60. So with that updated math, 266 is my number now. If it's below that, which I think it'll definitely retrace to that point because that's not too far away, that would be my buying opportunity. I think this company has so much growth ahead of it, and the fact that it's now going to go into the CPU market and compete against Intel and AMD and that, and you know they're going to put out some good stuff. So that is going to be my new mark. If it's anywhere around that, I think this is a great time to buy. If it's below that, load up. If it pulls back and traces all the way back to 230, yeah, I would just load this thing up. The fact that it, at one point, like multiple times this year, it was below 220. And I definitely didn't add enough. I don't think I have much of this company in my portfolio when I definitely need to have this. They are too top of the line to miss out on this. So if they can trace back to below 250, I'm definitely going to add it. If it can go into that 230, 220 range ever again, yeah, I'm going to load the boat on it. So that was kind of like my interesting twist there. And so I hope you enjoyed this. There's going to be more content coming out here in the future. So I hope you have a great night, and I'll talk to you later. Bye, guys.